The battlefield had gone quiet, save for the crackling of burning debris and the distant rumble of retreating gunships. Lyra pressed her back against the twisted metal of what used to be a supply transport, scanning the smoky horizon through her visor. The coalition forces had pulled back after the devastating counterattack, leaving behind their wounded, both humanoid and otherwise. That's when she heard it. A low, gurgling growl that made her spine stiffen. Lyra crept around the wreckage, medkit clutched tight, and froze. 20 meters away, collapsed against a shattered bunker wall, lay something that shouldn't exist outside of nightmares. The creature was massive, easily 4 meters long, with 6 powerful limbs ending in retractable claws that could rend steel. Its hide rippled with bioluminescent scales that flickered weakly, like dying embers. 2 rows of crystalline spines ran down its back, several of them shattered and oozing luminescent blood that pooled beneath it. Ravak, the Coalition's legendary war beast. Stories about this creature circulated through every human battalion. How it had torn through an entire armored division on Kepler 442b. How its roar alone could rupture eardrums. How it was bonded to the Zarthan Empire's most elite warrior caste. And now it was dying. Lyra's combat training screamed at her to leave it, to move on, to find wounded humans who actually needed her help. But her medic's instinct, that stubborn, irrational part of her that had made her run into collapsing buildings and burning ships, wouldn't let her walk away. She approached slowly, hands visible, making soft clicking sounds with her tongue. The beast's massive head lifted slightly, revealing eyes like molten gold that focused on her with surprising clarity. Its lips curled back, exposing rows of serrated teeth, each one as long as her forearm. "Easy there," Lyra murmured, keeping her voice level. "I know you're hurting, I know you don't trust me, but if you want to live through this, you're going to have to let me help." Ravak's growl deepened, a sound that vibrated through the ground and rattled Lyra's bones. She could see the gaping wound in its flank, a plasma burn that had melted through scale and muscle, exposing the creature's strange, segmented ribs. The edges of the wound were already turning necrotic, a sickly purple spreading through the surrounding tissue. "I've handled worse," she said, more to herself than the creature. "Just a big cat. Really big cat, with crystalline spines. And acid blood. Probably." She grimaced. "Okay, talking to myself isn't helping." She knelt 3 meters away, slowly opening her medkit. Ravak's eyes tracked every movement, its breathing labored and shallow. Lyra pulled out her bioscanner, praying the universal medical database had something, anything, on Zarthan warbeast physiology. The device chirped, and her heart sank. "Partial data available. Recommended action. Consult xenobiological specialist." "Great," Lyra muttered. "Let me just call one up from my ass." But the partial data was better than nothing. The scan showed a cardiovascular system with 3 hearts, a respiratory system that processed methane as efficiently as oxygen, and a nervous system so complex it made human neurology look primitive. The wound was worse than she'd thought. The plasma had damaged one of the hearts and partially collapsed a major lung analog. Ravak's breathing hitched, and a sound escaped it that Lyra realized with a shock was a whimper. The mighty war beast, scourge of human battalions, was scared. "All right, buddy," she said, scooting closer. "Here's the deal. I'm going to patch you up. It's going to hurt like hell. You're probably going to want to eat me. Try not to." She moved within arm's reach, and Ravak didn't strike. Its golden eyes followed her, pupils dilating and contracting rapidly. Pain response, she guessed. Lyra pulled out a vial of broad-spectrum coagulant, modified it with a xenobiological booster, and loaded it into her injector gun. "This is the part where you stay very, very still," she whispered. She pressed the injector against the edge of the wound and fired. Ravak's entire body convulsed, claws gouging deep furrows in the metal beside it, but it didn't attack. Encouraged, Lyra worked faster. She packed the wound with synthetic tissue foam, applied regenerative gel designed for silicon-based life forms, and wrapped the entire area with emergency bandages that contracted and hardened into a protective shell. As she worked, Ravak's breathing began to steady. The bioluminescent scales along its body started to glow brighter, pulsing in a rhythm that matched its heartbeats. Lyra had seen enough alien physiology to recognize healing when she saw it. "You're tougher than you look," she said, sitting back on her heels. "And you look pretty damn tough." Ravok's massive head turned toward her, and for a moment, Lyra thought she'd miscalculated everything. The creature's jaws could snap her in half without effort. Instead, it did something unexpected. It lowered its head and pressed its snout against her shoulder, careful not to crush her with its weight. A deep rumbling emanated from its chest. Not a growl, but something else. A purr, maybe, or whatever passed for gratitude in a war beast's vocabulary. "Yeah, you're welcome," Lyra said, surprising herself with the thickness in her voice. She reached up and touched the crystalline spines along its neck, finding them warm and surprisingly smooth. "You're going home, Ravok, back to your bondmate. Tell them we're not all monsters." The sound of approaching engines made them both tense. Coalition dropships, coming back for their wounded. Lyra stood, gathering her kit, but Ravok didn't move. It watched her with those molten gold eyes as human voices called out her name. "Medic, Lyra, where are you?" "Here," she called back, not taking her eyes off Ravok. "I'm here." As her squad rounded the corner and stopped dead at the sight of the war beast, Lyra stepped between them and Ravok, arms spread wide. "Stand down," she ordered. "This one's under my protection." Later, when the after-action reports were filed and the diplomatic channels buzzed with unprecedented communication, when the Zarthan Empire sent an envoy specifically to thank the human medic who had saved their most revered warbeast, Lyra would shrug and give the same answer. "I've handled worse, just a big cat." But she never forgot those golden eyes, or the moment when two species at war recognized their shared vulnerability and chose, however briefly, to be something other than enemies.